You know, we really think that the lower Columbia River, which divides Oregon and Washington, is really one of the most beautiful places around. So while Melissa was out on a little trip of her own, I decided to jump in the RV and head south and do a little dry camping and explore the lower Columbia dams and the bridges and all the sights and scenery along the Washington side, which I believe is the less traveled and more scenic side along the Lewis and Clark Highway. Well, what are we waiting for? Cue the intro. Almost got it. There you go. Hey guys. So today I'm parked along the Columbia River in southern Washington, and actually if you look across the river there, that's Oregon. So I'm out on a 2 to 3 day little trek to explore the Columbia River. Really interested in kind of learning more about the dams and how the salmon get through and all that stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and get this started. We're gonna go check out the Bonneville Power Dam. Did you know that hydroelectric power and these dams provide up to 2/3 to 3/4 of the Northwest's power needs? Howdy. So here we're at the Bonneville Power Dam, and what you may not know is that both sides can be visited. So this is the Washington side of the dam, and there's the Oregon side of the dam, which has a big visitors complex as well. That one's a lot more visited than this, but I heard this one's really good. When the dam was originally built, there was this giant spillway on the Washington side, so they realized that they could be getting a lot more power out of this spillway. So starting in the 60s and ending in the 80s, they constructed this second power plant. So this is taking the water from the spillway and actually generating more power out of it, increasing the power capacity of the dam. So what did the salmon say when he ran into a wall? Damn. Well, actually, they do what we would do. They use a ladder. Well, not just any ladder. Yeah, that's right. So in addition to providing power and irrigation, the dams have to also provide a way for spawning salmon and other fish species to get upstream and downstream. So these fish ladders are a real important part to making that happen. Now at the Bonneville Dam, they have a pretty cool fish viewing area where you can actually watch the salmon swim through the fish ladder. So we're right above the viewing station, and looking down on the fish ladder, we're actually watching them through the window and where they're counted. But you kind of see how the whole thing kind of meanders through. So the salmon have to make their way all the way through this maze, all the way up to the upper part of the dam. It's pretty cool how this is all set up. Alright, gonna head on out and check out something new. Just about 3 miles from the dam was a great little spot that I had heard about where I could get a bird's eye view of the entire area. I had to check it out. So up in the distance here is Beacon Rock, and it's a state park, Washington State Park, and I'm going to go ahead and check that out. You can see it, I don't know if you can see it straight ahead there, sticking up into the sky. Okay, I'm at the Beacon Rock Trail. I'm going to go straight up there. Let's start going. All right, up here at the summit of Beacon Rock and getting ready to head down now. So, beautiful day. See you guys.
All right, have a good one.
Alright, well, I'm almost on the street level. I have to say that was really cool, man. If you're ever down in southern Washington along Highway 14, check this out. Beacon Rock. It's about a mile hike up, but it's you can take your time. It's no bad. It's not bad. It was time now to say goodbye to the Bonneville Dam and head east toward Hood River, Oregon, but not before making a quick stop at the Bridge of the Gods. So for you guys who've read that book Wild or watched the movie recently Wild with Reese Witherspoon, yep, this is that bridge, the end of her journey, Bridge of the Gods. I'm not sure how she walked across in the end because there's not a whole lot of room to walk. Yep, no pedestrian lane. Now, if you're into windsurfing or kite surfing, you definitely know about Hood River, Oregon. You know, it gets a little windy there, which explains why everybody's out on the water. I decided to take the Hood River Bridge and drive up the Oregon side on my way up to the Dalles Dam. But as I found out, taking an RV across the Hood River Bridge is a pretty tight squeeze. But I made it. It's damage.
$3.
Hey, well, I've made it to the Dalles. It's a little late. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get any kind of tour or anything like that, but we'll see what we can see. Well, by the time I reached the Dalles Dam, it was getting a little late, and that's okay because they weren't really open for visitors anyway. I was getting a little tired, and it was time to find a quiet place to rest for the night. It had been a long day. I'm heading to Maryhill State Park. See if I can find a place to park or maybe even get a campsite. Perched up on the hill just down the road from Maryhill is something you might just do a double take on if you didn't know about it. So here's a little Washington fun fact for you. Did you know that Washington State has its own version of Stonehenge? Yeah? See?
Stonehenge, perched up on the hillside. It's not the real Stonehenge, but I think it's cool.
So you might be thinking, what? Yeah, actually the Stonehenge monument was built as a memorial to men who lost their lives in World War I. And it sits overlooking the Columbia River in Maryhill, Washington. Beautiful. Vineyards, farmland, wind power. Stonehenge. Yep. Well, it was time to say goodbye to Stonehenge and head on up the road to the Dalles Dam. But you know, as I was leaving, I was just kind of struck by the number of wind turbines I saw all over the hillside along the way. You know, if you've driven around, enough, you've seen more and more of these wind farms or wind turbines popping up all over the place, like those up there on the ridge. Well, here's a fun fact. Did you know that in the Northwest, wind power now provides about 1% of the Northwest energy needs? 1%. Go wind! Well, when I reached the Dalles Dam, the first thing I saw got me pretty excited. There are dry camping spots all up and down the Washington and Oregon side of this property. All the way about a mile down the Oregon side and about a mile down along the Washington side, right on the river. So I tried to get into the Dalles Dam complex. There's a gate, and apparently it says closed to visitors, and they wouldn't let me in. I'm gonna go check out some of these dry camping sites. I found one, and it's awesome. So I don't know if I'm gonna be continuing on up into the northern part of the state or just hanging out here. And we will make a decision on what happens tomorrow. Well, I decided to stay and see what other interesting things I could learn about this place. I moved the RV in a little bit closer to the dam and started to ponder some very interesting things. Okay, here you go. I'm about to blow your mind. So here's a fact about the Dalles Dam. So the Dalles Dam here puts out 2.2 million kilowatts, which is enough to power 2 cities the size of Seattle. But it's only a gigawatt more than it takes to go back to the future. Yeah, mind blown. 1.21 gigawatts. Well, one of the really cool things about my new boondocking spot is I could watch the barges go by right by the RV as they entered and left the locks, you know, heading up and down river. That was really cool. Time to eat. Got these spicy sausages plus some smoked salmon and some vegetables. Smells pretty good. Pretty good. Tasty. What I found a bit interesting was that all the dams I visited, you'd hear fireworks or gunshot noises going off, and you just wonder, what is that? Is there somebody just goofing around, or is it a new method of fishing? Huh? So, you know, every day there's a boat that kind of patrols back and forth below the dam that, you know, you see, what is he doing out there? But he's shooting off exploding fireworks. And the reason he's doing that is to deter or scare away California sea lions that have made it all the way up here from the Pacific Ocean to chow down on some salmon and steelhead and actually sturgeon. You know, they're using non-lethal techniques to try to, you know, deter these sea lions, but you know, they keep coming back. You know, I figure if a sea lion makes it all the way up here, you know, it's like they have to get through a couple dams to get to this point. You know, they deserve a reward, maybe a, you know, a meal. Here's a salmon. Yeah. Maybe I'll write a song about it. Guys out there with a boat with some fireworks on it. Sea lions are feasting on some big old salmon. If I was a sea lion, I'd be thinking, score. But that boat wants me gone. They don't want me here no more. But when that fireworks blow, I guess I'll be swimming home. When that fireworks blow, I guess I'll be diving. Or maybe I'll be swimming down to that dam down below because that guy's on vacation and he can't take the boat out this week. Okay, so that needs a little bit of work. Well, after a few days alone in the RV, things were getting just a little bit weird. I've been talking to a camera for the last 3 days. So the next morning I decided to leave John Day and start the 6-hour drive home. It was time. Well, this has been fun, and I hope you enjoyed this adventure down the Columbia just as much as I've enjoyed sharing it. Now, if you liked the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and let us know what you think in the comments. And also, feel free to share it with your friends and tell them all the cool places that you'd like to go. Now, if you've been down in this area, we'd love to hear about your favorite places to visit and why. Take care, everybody, and I hope you have a great summer RVing, and we will see you next time. Alright, here's a more emotional version of the Sea Lion song. You might need a tissue. He went down beneath the water, a big salmon in his mouth. But there's a man up shooting fireworks, and he wants me gone right now. But that salmon, he's my child. He'll be shooting fireworks, he's gonna fire. I gotta leave my salmon behind, shooting fireworks. What am I do now? He'll be shooting fireworks. Time to leave. There's a barge right out my window. Awesome.